Time had forgotten about Whistler's Hollow, leaving it to rot in the depths of memory with its tragic history hidden beneath layers of decay. The village, which was once a thriving community in a peaceful valley, had met a mysterious and frightening end, leaving behind only eerie ruins. Whistler's Hollow had been deserted for decades, its eerily quiet streets and crumbling buildings providing as a frightening reminder of a bygone era. Those who knew of the town's existence murmured its name with apprehension due to the many urban legends that circulated about it. Because of the fascination of exploring abandoned locations and uncovering hidden secrets, a party of urban explorers decided to check out the ghost town. They had heard tales of Whistler's Hollow, of missing people, of strange happenings, and of a pervasive gloom that seemed to emanate from every abandoned structure. It was a world where the line between the living and the dead blurred, where fact and fiction became one. Alex, a photographer with a penchant for the macabre, was one of the explorers. He was eager to finally visit Whistler's Hollow and photograph its eerie beauty after hearing legends of it. Sarah, Alex's partner, was a huge believer in the supernatural and was always looking for the chill of a ghost sighting or any other unexplainable phenomenon. With apprehension, the party entered the ghost town of Whistler's Hollow and began its trek. The desolation was oppressive, and the air was thick with suffocation. They walked down silent alleys lined with abandoned buildings that had broken windows and peeling paint. The explorers walked aimlessly through the deserted streets, the sound of their feet reverberating in the void. A hurried evacuation had left behind a panorama of shattered lives in the community. Everything had been upended: furniture, belongings, and the sense of imminent disaster. Sarah's anticipation was palpable as she prepared her equipment in the hopes of capturing some proof of the mysterious activity that had brought them to Whistler's Hollow. She was eager to test out the assortment of equipment she had packed to identify paranormal phenomena. The deeper the explorers went into the village, the more disturbing the signs became. There were shadows dancing in the peripheries of their vision, and ghostly voices echoing across the deserted streets. It seemed as if the emptiness itself were alive and watching their every move. Alex pulled out his camera and started taking pictures of the abandoned buildings around town. But as he looked over his photos, he saw something really unsettling. Each picture had an ominous atmosphere, like someone or something was hiding in the shadows. Sarah's supernatural devices started giving her false readings, flashing lights, and sounding alarms. The devices seemed to react to something unseen, and the explorers' anxiety grew as a result. After a long day of exploring Whistler's Hollow, the intrepid group decided to spend the night in one of the deserted homes in the area. Their chosen home was particularly frightening, with peeling wallpaper and shabby furnishings adorning its walls. There were a lot of strange noises and events that happened during the night. There was a rise in the volume of whispering, and dark figures began to materialize in the room's crevices. It was as if the town itself had come to life, exposing its dark history and secrets to the explorers, giving them the impression that they were not alone. The name, The Forgotten Town, had lured the explorers into a place where the line between the living and the dead was porous at best. Whistler's Hollow was home to unsettling mysteries that had been buried for too long, and the explorers were ready to face them. As the night progressed in Whistler's Hollow, the explorers found themselves in a nightmare where the boundary between the natural world and the supernatural began to dissolve. There were whispering in the air, and the abandoned house that had protected them appeared to take on a life of its own. Sarah, intent on catching proof of the supernatural, placed her equipment in the middle of the room. Her technology was giving her false indications, and the tension in the home only increased. The town itself seemed to come to life, with its sinister past and lingering ghosts laid bare. Sarah invited the ghosts of Whistler's Hollow to communicate with her during an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, session. Her recorder caught up a chorus of ghostly whispers, cries, and sobs, all coming from an unknown source. The explorers looked at one another in terror as the voices came from all directions. Alex, who had been photographing the night, found his attention drawn to a shadowy area of the room. He snapped a photo, and when it developed, he saw a terrifying ghostly figure that seemed to reach out to him from the picture. The silhouette was sinister in appearance, with its extended limbs and hollow, vacant eyes. The intrepid explorers, scared to their cores, decided to leave the house and investigate the quiet streets of Whistler's Hollow on their own. In the town, ghostly figures materialized out of thin air, floating through the empty streets and muttering in low, somber voices. A family having a picnic in the park, children playing by the fountain, and locals going about their everyday lives all appeared before the eyes of the explorers as they made their way around the town. Time seemed to be bending in on itself, and they were witnessing hitherto unseen chapters in the town's past. These spectral sights, however, were not recollections. They were recreations of the worst times in town's history, including a devastating fire that destroyed an entire block of homes, a mystery illness that killed many, and a string of mysterious disappearances. Whistler's Hollow was a desolate place with a painful past. The explorers continued into the town and ran upon something that wasn't like the previous ghosts they'd seen. A woman in a torn white dress looked up at me with tears in her eyes. She came toward them with an air of desperation, as if she were the only ghost to notice their arrival. A woman who introduced herself as Eleanor and described the sinister past of the locality. She disclosed that the departed residents of Whistler's Hollow were stuck in an endless loop of reliving their tragedies because they were unable to move on to the next life. She pleaded with the explorers to free the town's inhabitants from the curse that had plagued them for so long. Following Eleanor's instructions, the adventurers went out to find out what had caused Whistler's Hollow to be doomed to an endless cycle of sadness. They found out that the evil spirit that had been haunting the town's abandoned church was the source of the curse. The closer they got to the church, the more foreboding it seemed. The broken windows and open doors of the building loomed above them. As they entered, the temperature dropped, and a palpable sense of foreboding settled over the room. They entered the church and saw a dark altar covered in occult markings and a nasty being who had made its home there. It was a mysterious presence, a malign energy that drank from the sorrow of the town's inhabitants for millennia. The explorers and Eleanor engaged the evil thing in a fierce showdown. The creature fought against their attempts to lift the curse, resulting in a flurry of ghostly apparitions and other supernatural occurrences. It struggled to keep the town in its grasp, but Eleanor's willpower and the explorers' perseverance eventually did it in. Forced to face the pain it had created, the thing burst in a dazzling flash of light from the church and a thunderous howl that reverberated throughout the village. The evil force had been cast out, and the curse had been broken. There were no longer any ghosts or sad memories in Whistler's Hollow. Despite the defeat of the evil spirit that had held the town hostage for ages, the desolation of the village remained. Eleanor commended the explorers for their bravery and determination once her spirit was set free. She and the other ghosts of Whistler's Hollow gradually disappeared into the dawn haze as the sun rose above the town.